I'll be doing lives since my phone decided it doesn't want to record longer than a few minutes. I was sharing before it got cut off how powerful perceptions and perspectives are. Because according to quantum physics, double slit experiment, observer effect, same thing, different names, the implications of it and what it's saying our perceptions convert energy to matter, to form. What is that saying? Are we taking it seriously? Are we so stressed out and overwhelmed, and most are, and this is why most aren't looking, because they're surviving. They're surviving, and so a lot of people aren't really stopping to think and contemplate these things. And they're impacting everything. Our perceptions are everything. Quite literally. So, how have our perceptions been shaped, and by who? Our parents, our environment, those we were around growing up, yeah, and what about where they learned it, and where their parents learned it, and their parents, and how far back does it go? Why is there so much conflict and narcissism and different things happening? And in contemplating this and reflecting on my experience enduring narcissistic abuse and deep levels of it, multiple levels of it, what are the implications of the effects of the gaslighting? What is gaslighting? Well, in summary, it's others telling us what is real and true for our experiences and what we know to or have experienced to be true. And then what happens if it's not based on what we've been made to believe is real and true? We're labeled, we're shamed, we're judged, we're condemned or criticized or punished in some way. Interesting. Considering a lot of people, if I were to share all my experiences that I've had, be labeled crazy or mentally, whatever mental illness condition. And how many so desperately want people to understand what our experiences are, what we're sharing, and we so desperately want somebody to get it. And it's really impossible in a way. We can do our best to seek to understand it, listen, and yet, interesting what we've been taught to listen to and who to believe and what to believe, and what's told is real and true for us, and how that's impacted our perception and how we are with ourselves and with others. So, I have a friend, speaking of labels, I have a friend who is, I call just a dishwasher friend, because many people would judge and label him because he's just a dishwasher, and yet brilliant because of his experiences and what he learned from his experiences through his journey, through the hardships, which we all do what we can to avoid hardships, right? And because life's struggle enough as it is, and yet when we avoid experiencing aspects of it, it really prevents us from truly knowing. And just this morning, in sharing about he was commenting on my video from yesterday, and he said, talking about shame, which is a really important topic because it's the shame that we've been made to feel because of the judgments and expectations and labels and all these things that we were taught as children, and unconsciously, many unconsciously are feeling that shame, which is the lowest vibration, which is impacting our choices, our perception, our trajectory, our life, our relationships, our ability to communicate and desire to even communicate, which is another big issue. And the shame causes us to mask and put on some front to hide so that we don't get labeled or judged or criticized or punished or whatever. What is that doing? And where does it come from? Well, who are we listening to? Who have we been listening to that's teaching us what's real and true about our reality and how it works? Because again, what does quantum physics say? Perceptions convert energy to matter. I realized through my journey, as I started making these changes in my perception, as I started to become aware of how I was perceiving myself and others and my experiences and my traumas and what I was going through and shifting them, my reality shifted. Sometimes like that. Sometimes it took time. And I have felt and experienced the effects of applying these things. And again, going back to language, our words shaping everything because they're determining our focus, they're determining how we feel, and they're determining our perceptions. So what words are we using, and what words have we been taught to use and how to speak? You hear all the time, I mean, everything is frequency, right? Part of why it's called What the Freak. Not to mention the labels of a freak for being different, thinking different, believing different, looking different, whatever the judgment. And interesting who we've been taught to listen to and believe is real and true. And yet, if we look back at history, which to me just translate his story, who wrote history? Doesn't it stand to reason that history is written by the winners and we're only getting a fraction of the story of what we're being taught and told? It, coming from the narcissistic abuse, it felt to me like we were, like we're being taught to be slaves and conform and obey and only listen to certain people with the titles and the papers and the letters, the experts. And yet expert, also a definition, is experience. So how can we judge somebody else and their experiences? Have I ever experienced aliens? No, not really. Not like some people have. And yet, just because we don't believe in aliens, does that mean their experience wasn't true? Or didn't happen for them or to them? Oh, they're just crazy. Oh, it was all in their head. Well, isn't everything? Aren't our thoughts, our words in our head that are also shaping our perceptions and how we feel and our experiences and relationships and choices that are being impacted based on it? So my just a dishwasher friend, in regards to the shame that we've been made to feel for sharing our experiences, and because somebody else didn't believe them to be true, we're judged for it. And how much is shutting people's perceptions and sharing experiences out is impacting us? Well, just this morning, my friend, shared his perspective on the video I did yesterday on shame, and gave me a really powerful perspective that was like, holy shit. And he said, you know, the shame, or the stuffing our freak side, stuffing those aspects of ourself that are imperfect, whatever perfect even means, it's all perspective. And basically, I would say perfect is based on somebody's perception of an expectation that they have. And so if we're imperfect, then we're dismissed. And if we're dismissed, we're not considered. And then we feel shame and then we're like, oh, I said something wrong. Oh, I did something wrong, because it wasn't meeting their expectation of what they believe to be real and true. Interesting who we've allowed to shape our perceptions and allow us to tell us what to believe is real and true for us in our life, in our world, who we are, why we're here, whatever, all of it. And when I learned the Enlifted method, the abracadabra, with my words I create, and with my words I influence. No shit. And going through my story using that method brought things to my awareness that I unconsciously wasn't even aware was happening. And holy shit was it revealing how much I had been lied to, how much I was believing that wasn't true about me, that I was made to believe was true about me from people in trusted positions of authority. And yet, now that, as I obviously being an adult and able to grasp things better now, and because these things happened as children, so we a lot of times we have stories running around in our head that we're not even aware are there. And it was astonishing how many things I was believing to be true and real about me based on other people's perception and what they say is real and true about me and about everything. And reverse engineering my story using the method and bringing to my awareness all these things that were impacting my perception, which was impacting my choices, which was impacting my trajectory and my relationships. And going through and clearing out those stories, oof, it was a ride. It is a ride. Because shifting my perception shifted my reality many, many times as I was going through my stories and having experiences that there is zero way many would grasp or believe, because of what we've been told and taught is real and true for us, and believing it and accepting it as our truth based on people in trusted positions of authority, which is interesting. That it's how it's been for so long, and yet my experiences, nope. I know what's real and true for me, and it's not for me to tell anybody else what that is for them. And at the same time, I'm simply here to provide a perspective to help us question some things that we may have been told and taught are real and true about us and about our lives and about our experiences and the labels that we're giving things to judge others and ourselves, and who we've been taught to judge and perceive as a certain way, perceive in a certain way, and believe certain things, and how that's impacted everything that's happening in our life and in our world collectively. When we think about all the different perceptions and perspectives and what we've been accepted as and believed real and true, which is the definition of gaslighting. And yet we think of it in terms of our immediate relationships and environment. Who else is doing it? And to what level? Interesting how coming through and going through my story and understanding and studying narcissism and psychology in general, really, as well as health and wellness, and as well as language and words and quantum physics and all these different things that I researched as I was looking for answers. I wanted to know how to get out of my hell. And then I realized the benefit of being in hell and the power of climbing out of it. Because going back to the shame, shaming myself for these experiences and feelings and questions I had and all these things, and labeled. And knowing what I know now, I wouldn't change a thing. Because now I feel and experience the freedom of other people's perceptions of me, of other people's belief systems of what I should or shouldn't believe. Because I learned to learn from not just my story, all the stories, regardless of what they are and whether they're even real or true. I learned the lessons and the benefits from the stories. Good and bad, right and wrong, whatever you want to call it. And I especially learned from others. And I especially learned from those who had my best interests in mind. And it wasn't always what I wanted to hear. Most of the time it wasn't what I wanted to hear for a long time. Because I didn't want to face that shame of how I was behaving, of the choices I was making. And it's interesting that we're told and taught these things. We're shamed and judged and criticized and all these things growing up. And then we're punishing ourselves, and it becomes a self-licking ice cream cone where we end up doing it to ourselves unconsciously, which impacts the choices as we get older, which is where we end up in our life. And how did we get where we are? Based on who we're believing, what we're believing, and not questioning, and taught not to question, taught not to ask questions. We just shut people out. We dismiss them, we disregard them, especially if they don't have papers and titles and letters. And yet my Just a Dishwasher friend shared with me just this morning how shame is actually our power. It's when we uncover it and we embrace the freak side, we embrace the aspects of ourselves that we've been taught to judge and shame and criticize, and embrace the fact that we are imperfect, whatever that means. And we're all imperfect, and when we just own it and stop trying to put on these masks and fronts for people because we somehow feel and believe that we need to live up to their expectations. For what? To what end? Most of the time people are so insatiable, it doesn't matter how much we do, how much we perform for them. It's never good enough. It's never enough. And so we're literally exhausting ourselves and stressing ourselves out more, trying. And most of us, interestingly, that we're kept in survival mode, barely getting by, most of us. And why? Because how did we end up where we are? It's how we feel about ourselves, which impacted our choices. And we can make different choices, and we can believe different things, and we can listen to other perspectives and change our mind. It's for free will. It's our divine right. And when we embrace those aspects of ourselves, when we just accept reality as it is, yeah, I fucked up. I fucked up a lot. That's how I got here. And I was taught to fuck up. Because I was taught how to think of myself and what to believe and what to think and what to feel. So I learned the hard way. I'm simply trying to save people a lot of time and energy and money, narrowing it down to our language, our perceptions, who and what we're listening to, who and what we're believing, so that we can shift it, realize, hey, it's okay, you're a freak. Let your freak flag fly. Be imperfect. Aren't we here to experience what it is to be here in this physical form, whatever the experience is, good or bad? We learn better. We remember better when we've experienced it, which is felt, not told. Not told what's real and true and just believe me blindly. I'm going to tell you what's real and true for you. And then I'm going to keep you so overwhelmed and distracted that you won't have the bandwidth and energy to look or listen to yourself. You got to listen to the experts and others. Don't listen to the inner voice. Don't listen to the intuition. No, that makes you crazy. Don't listen to your experiences. Those experiences didn't happen. And if they did, then you have a mental illness. Here, cope with this. Here, take this pill. Here, have this drink. Here, take this drug. Here, buy this. It'll make you feel better. To fill that void and cover that shame that we're feeling from unconscious patterns we've been taught for a long time. And don't look for answers and don't question authority. Or get punished. Interesting. That's a narcissistic trait too. And then told what our relationship to God is or isn't. And that we have to go to some appointed person that we just swallow as being appointed by God without really, what's their example? How are people behaving? Are they practicing what they preach? Are they abiding by the rules? I mean, they're imperfect. They're imperfect, and it's based on their perspectives and perceptions of what they were told and taught. And yes, we want to listen to multiple perspectives. That's the point. Listening to multiple perspectives from multiple people. I've learned a lot listening to a lot of people that I could tell were genuine and had my best interest and others' best interests at heart. And observer effect, double slit experiment, what is it saying? How much of being told and taught what's real and true for us is preventing us from experiencing the wisdom, embodying the wisdom that really is felt and helps us to know what's real and true for us based on the experience and what we felt. Does it feel good when we hurt others? Only if you're a psychopath. So we of course we want to avoid hurting others. It's unavoidable because we're imperfect. And also it helps us experience what's real and true, right and wrong, good and bad, because we feel it. If we have emotions. Many of them have been shut down on purpose. Because our emotions are our power to create. Because what's going out, we're sound, remember, everything is sound and frequency. What we're feeling is going out and going to bring back to our experiences, through our relationships, based on how we're feeling. So why are we being stressed out? Why are we being made to be stressed out, overwhelmed, and not look? Is it to control? Is it to feed? Are we the supply for the narcissists at the top? And there's a lot of well-intentioned people out there. A lot of well-intentioned people out there that mean well. At the same time, what have they learned? What do they know? Do they have all the answers that we should just blindly accept what they say is truth? We can consider each other, consider each other's perspective, listen to each other's perspective. Does it resonate? Do we feel the truth of it? Does it make sense? And embracing the imperfectness so that we feel and experience the benefit of what is actually real and true. Because then we know. Because my experiences, what I've experienced, not a soul that can shake me from knowing the truth for me. And we're all going to have our own version of the truth based on what we want to hear, or what we desire to hear, what we want to learn or not learn. It's all going to be perspective. There's universal truth, universal laws, God's laws, natural laws. Reflect on those. And then shifting ourself to being that. How is it I know that we are attracting these things into our experiences? Well, one, I've experienced it many, all the time, because I'm always creating, always whatever's showing up for me. And when I shift my perception, that shifts. The reality shifts. My environment shifts. And also thinking of the word behave. When we think about how what we're feeling goes out to attract to us experiences based on how we feel, what are we ordering? What order are we placing? Prayer, universe, whatever, is going to be based on how we feel. Because behave, be having. What are we be having? What will we be having? Here to take your order. And very empowering, and a huge relief and freedom from the stress, because then we can know what to choose or not choose for ourselves. We are so bombarded with stories from so many people, from so many experts. It's a confirmation bias. We're filled in a world full of confirmation bias. What you believe to be true, I'm sure you can find evidence to prove it. Here, this isn't lying. How are we feeling about our life, about ourselves, about each other, about our world? Truth is our true north. There is our feelings. Our true north is our feelings. Our feelings are trying to tell us the truth. And because we can think, and what we're thinking is what we're going to perceive, what lens we're going to look through based on other people. Based on what other people are telling us. So we're spending a lot of time on others, what others are doing and believing and thinking and feeling, and not considering our own. And why our lives are where they're at. And why we feel the way we do. Most of the time, because we've been taught to dismiss ourselves and do for everybody else except ourselves. And not taking time for self-care and reflection and meditation and stillness. No, we're kept in our head. Our thoughts are kept spinning with stress and worry and doubt and fear and expectations that we have to live up to, or blah, blah, blah. Interesting. Embrace your freak side. Let your freak flag fly. We're all here in our journey just doing the best we can, right? Well, we can help each other through it. So that, I mean, look at the youth. We're so stressed out and overwhelmed that we literally cause us to be self-consumed, because we're so constantly have so much we're doing and feel, you know, we have to do, and yes, we have responsibilities. And what I realized coming from CPTSD, from a long time having CPTSD, shifting my words, shifting my perception, shifted my ability to downregulate, to de-stress, so that I can contemplate and think about my choices, and realizing the importance of the self-care and taking time. And we're just kept so, and then taught how to speak, taught how to use our words. Interesting. Language is a rabbit hole all by itself, especially the English language. And I'll leave it there for now. And join the Freak Show. I tried getting on YouTube again, or recording a video again. I don't know what's going on with my stuff. I'm still gonna get it out there. I will not be stopped. I'm gonna let my freak flag fly. Have a great day, everybody. Please like and subscribe to What the Freak World on YouTube, and check us out on whatthefreakworld.com, and become a member and join the Freak Show, where we're gonna be having fun creating, because it's about co-creating. It's about being there for each other. It's about letting go of all these expectations and judgments of other people who, hey, if they want to piss in each other's Wheaties, let them. I went through my shit. I'm done. I'm having fun now. I'm enjoying my life now. I'm not gonna let anybody else fuck with my fun anymore. I did that for decades. So now I'm a giant freak. Be like children. We're gonna play, so come join the party. Have a great day, guys.